Hey everyone, Josh here. So today we're doing a quick video on rear brake refresh. So we're doing pads, rotors, parking brake pads, and e-brake cables. So we're gonna go over some parts that we need and some special tools and stuff like that. Okay, so as far as parts, I've got coated rotors. They're Freemax or Fremax. The pads are just ID Parts high ceramic pads. New wear sensors, which I think they sent me doubles, which is okay with me. So that should be everything for your normal service brakes. Then for the parking brakes, so you've got your shoes, and if you want, you can get hardware kit. And then I've got cables because when I did my wheel bearing here a little while ago, I had to get this spindle off, which of course this was seized in there, so this got cut. So that cable's no good anymore. And then I got the hardware kit and all that because here in Ontario, they love salting the roads and everything is just destroyed. So that's the springs and stuff in the hardware kit. I do not get new adjusters, so I'm going to clean those up. But there's definitely time for some new shoes. So that should be it for parts. And then as far as tools, the only real special one that you need is a high quality 16mm triple square to get the caliper off. And that is going to be really tight if you live somewhere that's to put lots of salt on. So just be aware that might be a bit of a nightmare. Okay, so before we unbolt this caliper, we're gonna want to push the old pads back so that we can fit the new ones in on reassembly. So this setup's got 4 pistons. You got one up here, one here, and then one there, one there. So quick and easy way, just get a pry bar in there and pop it apart. But the issue is you're gonna kind of be fighting yourself. So if you can get 2 bars, one on the top, one on the bottom, then just kind of pry them apart, get the pistons pushed all the way back, and then you should be good for reassembly. All right, so with everything pushed back, we want to get these pads out of here. So this pin here has to come out, goes in like that. The issue is this is the retainer pin. It was seized in there, and this pin here itself is seized in here. So we're gonna have to get a hammer or something to hammer it across and out. Yeah, it doesn't look like much fun, so I'm gonna soak it in some penetrating oil and give it a try. Well, here's the pin out. So with a little bit of working back and forth and a wire wheel and lots of penetrating oil, it came out. So then your pads come out the top like that. And yeah, I'd say it's about time to get them done. So I need that off of there yet. And then kind of clean some stuff up and we'll get this caliper off. So I got the rotor off. It's just this larger screw that holds it on through there. So that's just a T50. So now I'm at this point where I'm trying to get the broken or the cut piece of e-brake cable out of here. So that is the remaining chunk of the cable. The issue is it is seized in there like crazy, so I've got a 32-ounce hammer, I think. Could not get it to move, so I got a sledgehammer on that. And I think I finally got her cracked loose. So I'm gonna give it one more swing on off camera here, and I think I should be able to pop it out. Okay, so I got the remaining piece of the e-brake cable out. So there's supposed to be a little O-ring on there. I'm supposed to seal all the salt out, I guess. So that didn't work very well. So one word of advice, if you're going to be using a punch and a sledge, get your friend to hold on to the punch while you hammer, because with it sitting there, the one time it bounced up and now I got a nice nick in the quarter panel. So that's just a word of advice. But so now we're trying to find the other end of this e-brake cable, and we're getting pretty far into it here. So center console is out. I've got a video on doing that when I was replacing a shifter cable. The back one is out of here. I guess you'd say the ashtray or the coin tray is out of the front. It's kind of nice. Somebody had been in here already and broke all the tabs for me, so everything popped out nice. Anyways, there's a couple screws. I've got it slid back here, but so this would have been up here. So there's the screw right there. One on the other side. This piece went in underneath the shifter. And then we have 4 screws in the bottom of this back cubby. And then everything slides back. And now, you look way in there. That's the e-brake cables down there. So that's underneath all this junk. So the plan is to get this center console out of here. But to do that, I need to gain a little bit of room in the back. I've got all my bee stuff and some pumpkins and my snacks. So the plan is to be able to slide this back and then get it up out of the way. And then there's going to be something in there I gotta get off to get down to the cables. All right, so we got some more stuff apart. So I got the 4-zone, the back HVAC off of the center console. So that was just, you take the wood surround, it's just held in with those clips all the way around. And then there's 4 screws. And that gets out of there. So this sits off to the side nicely. And then next you've got your actual HVAC vent, which went like that. Let's get the light in here. So that would have sat in there. Had the 2 connectors here. I think I found out why my center console gets so hot with the heat on. All that foam's kind of falling apart, which should mesh up with that. But the bottom side's even worse yet. So I think that's all the heat's getting stuck in that center console. And yeah, anything in the cup holder is pretty well on fire pretty quick. So maybe clean that up with some more foam, and then yeah, maybe it won't get so hot. So now, here is our e-brake cables going to the back. So we're gonna back that nut off a little bit, try and get the cable out. And then, not that I can really see it very well, but on that off-white yellow plastic, there's 2 little clips you can push together, and then you should be able to push the e-brake out of there. So we're gonna do that here now. Okay, so I'm underneath the car. That's the bearing carrier for the drive shaft. So I've got this pulled out here. So that's the 2 tabs I was talking about where you gotta squeeze them. And then it just pulls out of its home up there. So basically you kind of squeeze those, and then I just kind of stuck a screwdriver on there and gave it a tap until it came out. So yeah, so now I'm under here. We've got a support there, and one back here on the subframe somewhere. I can feel it somehow. But yeah, so I'll just get that unclipped there, get the other one undone, and then we'll get this new one fed in. All right, so I got the old cable out and I got the new cable in here now. It's a bit of a pain to get it up in there with the drive shaft in place. It goes into that holder quite tight, and it's got a big O-ring. So a little bit of lube kind of helps slide that in. So I usually like using foaming glass cleaner, but I don't have any, so a little bit of fluid film helped. And it's still a pretty good push to get it all the way in and getting everything lined up. So just, yeah, it's not a whole lot of fun. Okay, so we got the cable ran through all of the retainers and stuff. So we've got it here. So I cleaned that hole all out. So next up, we're just gonna coat this with anti-seize. So then hopefully if I ever have to do this again, that'll come out nicely. I don't have to cut the cable. So I really don't want to change that again. Clean up some rust here is the next plan, and get that stuff cleaned up and painted, and probably take the other side apart while we wait for it to dry. I have no idea why all of these caliper retaining bolts are so tight. I tried my cordless impact, I tried my snap-on air impact, nothing would budge it. So I got a couple extensions, ratchet strapped them to the back tire, I don't know. And then put a breaker bar on it, and then I had to jump on the breaker bar to get it broken free. So when you're putting it back together, I'd maybe tighten it reasonably and put some anti-seize on it so you can get it apart. Okay, so we're gonna start reassembly here. So just checking the cable here, slides in nice and free. So I'm not gonna do this side. I'm gonna keep my second cable for a spare for the beige one. The other thing is when I rip the rotor off, kind of bends the locking tabs out a little bit. So the other side I had to weld it because it just deteriorated so much. This one I just kind of tapped it back together. And if you take your new spring retainer, as long as it goes in, turns, and can grab, that's the main thing. So you might want to get dust shields, but the issue with that is if you want to do the shield, hub has to come off, which means you're doing the bearing, which turns into a lot of work quickly. These ones are rusted out right here. So you could maybe cut that and get creative and kind of open it up and fold it around, if that kind of makes sense. But I think that's kind of easier said than done. So I decided just to weld mine up. This side I just had to tap them back together. So yeah, so we're gonna start assembly. I put a little bit of lube on the cable, but it's nice and free, so I'm not too worried about that. So the big flat side's gonna go to the back, so that way your adjuster can sit in there, and then the front one is for your cable, like that. So grab this. Got a nice little Allen there to push it in together. Just turn that 90 degrees and then that's in. Set that on there. That goes here. Like that. Should sit in something like that. Okay, so next up is the spring. So this one goes to the rear. I know this isn't really what it's meant for, but so what I did was hook that into the pad and then use my ball end socket to pry it up. It's not quite its intended purpose, but it worked. like that. Obviously be careful because springs can really hurt your eyes and other body parts. We'll do the same one here. I guess go down. There, and that's just parking brakes all together. So I've got the star adjuster wheel out, probably, I don't know, maybe a thread. We're gonna see how this works. Might be out too far. Flat screwdriver works really good too if you have one on your over here. Brakes are just ever so slightly dragging, but they don't catch or anything like that. So we're gonna hook the cables up in the cab, and then yeah, we'll make sure they actually work. So I've got the cables hooked back up, and I just kind of tightened that nut till some of the slack was taken out of it. So now we're gonna see how many clicks it takes for the to kind of get hard. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 or so. That one's locked up. I can maybe adjust it a bit tighter with the star wheel yet. Okay, so after a few tries here, I think I've got it pretty close. I've got that turned out quite a ways there now, so that kind of goes on. You still free turn it, but it sits on there nice and tight. It doesn't kind of rock or anything like that. It doesn't drag obviously as well, so I think I'm going to walk the other side out just a little bit, and then we'll see how it grabs. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Pushing on it pretty hard. I'd say they're pretty even, so I'm pretty happy with that. So now I'm going to get the service brakes back together now. All right, so I cleaned up the holes where the pin goes in, cleaned the pin up, put anti-seize in there so that doesn't all come apart, or so it does come apart. Anti-seize the bolts. I'm going to end the video here because if you could know how to get all this apart, you're going to know how to get it back together. So rather than making a really long video, which I think it's already going to be long enough, I'm just going to end it here. So hopefully this video kind of helped give you a rough idea on how to get your cables replaced and your parking shoes done and your service brakes done. So yeah, hopefully it helped, and thanks for watching.